We're rolling into another episode of the Minds of Culture podcast. Today's stimulating topics are Canada is now a police state. Excuse me. Canada, now a police state. And I mean that literally, not figuratively, not metaphorically, not, trying to embellish. It's literally a police state. Wow. So, we got that for you. We got some stuff on Adam Toledo. Some stuff you might not have heard. It's a bit of different opinions that you might not have been privy to. And a follow-up. We're going to start, though, with follow-up to Patrisse Cullors and the accusations against her. Let's go ahead and get into the show. All right, so coming from the Blaze. Man, I love the Blaze. They do such good work. Facebook blocks users from sharing New York Post story about BLM co-founder's pricey home buying spree. So here we go again. Users on the platform reported Thursday that they weren't able to share the links to a story published by the Post, and detailed the Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors' recent multi-million-dollar real estate buying binge. In the story, the Post reported that the protests and riots were carried out last year in the name of Black Lives Matter, and as the money poured into the organization's coffers, the group's co-founders snagged 4 high-end homes worth a total of $3.2 million. The Post article highlighted the irony of a self-proclaimed Marxist like Cullors crashing in a grassroots movement. But when the users started to share the story, they were blocked from doing so, and the Blaze can confirm that as of Friday afternoon, the article was still restricted from being shared on a personal Facebook page or throughout the platform Messenger app. When attempting to share a link, an alert pops up on the screen saying your post couldn't be shared because this link goes against our community standards. And here's an example of that right here. And shortly after, Daily Mail reported that its coverage of the news was also being censored. In explanation, Facebook stated, "This content was removed for violating our privacy and personal information policy." When this is public information, but okay. Facebook evidently gave a lengthier explanation to the Daily Mail, saying, "As per our community standards, we do not allow people to post personal or confidential information about yourself or others. We remove content shares, offers, or solicits personally identifiable information or other private information that could lead to physical or financial harm, including financial, residential, or medical information." Okay, fair enough. If it was distributed and these policies were carried out universally. You guys know of Tim Pool. He covered this story, and he had his information of where he lived leaked out. And funnily enough, there was no blocking of that story. And Tim Pool is a very well known person, so it's not like they didn't know. They didn't care. So it'd be one thing if they apply this to everyone, but they don't. That's mainly the issue here. And in response to the most recent censorship, the New York Post wrote, "This decision is so arbitrary as to be laughable. Does Facebook now know how many newspapers, magazines, and websites highlight the real estate purposes of the rich and famous?" Exactly. The next time People magazine covers Kim Kardashian's latest mansion purchase, will it violate any community standards? How about running a picture of the resort Ted Cruz is staying at? Proof's in the pudding. No, this rule has not been applied in any fair manner, the board added. So that's really all we need from that. And that just shows the level of how people look at this stuff. People don't care about at least these multimedia companies. They don't care about actually enforcing any laws or whatnot. They don't get, or like their copyright or their terms of service or anything. That contract you enter in with them when you join their website and whatnot. They don't care about upholding any of the standards for everyone. They care about making sure their pockets are lined, and if it goes against popular narratives or popular lucrative business moves they can do later. They'll bend the rules for some and go hard and strict them really forcefully on others. And that's what we see here. Now, the funny thing now since they want to go ahead and do that, I do want to show you guys something rather interesting. We're gonna go over to watch Patrisse herself respond to these claims with Mark Lamont Hill. And I believe it should prove very, very entertaining. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
I want to pivot to the reason why you're here. In the last few weeks, there have been stories that have become very prominent in the national media around you, and particularly around issues of spending, issues of income. Specifically, there were two stories that came out that talked about you purchasing homes. You reportedly purchased 4 homes, and we're looking even at another home. I believe in the Bahamas. There were conversations about how you spend money, and the stories also had a lot of innuendo about the source, the relationship between your money and your spending, and questions around BLM, global movements, finances. So the first thing I want to do is talk about what's true that has been said and what has been untrue.
I want to start, thank you, Mark. I want to just start by saying something that's really important for people to hear. And that's, I have never taken a salary from the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. And that's important because what the right-wing media is trying to say is the donations that people gave to Black Lives Matter went towards my spending. And that is categorically untrue and incredibly dangerous.
We're gonna pause right there, and I just want to point out, Patrisse, that's not the criticism. That's not the criticism. The criticism is you're a Marxist, self-proclaimed. What are you doing with all of these homes? And you're spreading your ideas. These are the ideas fueling your movement. This is the ideas of your group and what you want Black people to adopt. But clearly you don't live by your own standards. Wherever you got your money from, it doesn't really matter in this situation. But we'll let you continue. Let's see if you actually address the real criticism that apparently only right-wing media is coming out against you for.
So you haven't taken a salary. So your income that you use to make whatever purchases you've made have come from outside income. You've mentioned on your IG, and other people have talked about speeches, studio deals, book deals for your book when they call you a terrorist. Your income has not come from working directly with BLM, GM.
That's correct. Yeah. I'm a college professor, first of all. I also am a TV producer, and I have had 2 book deals. My first book that came out was a New York Times bestseller. And I also have had a YouTube deal. And so much of all of my income comes directly from the work that I do. But I also want to say something, Mark, that feels really important. Organizers should get paid for the work that they do. They should get paid a living wage. And the fact that the right-wing media is trying
Living
to
wage isn't a
create
real thing.
hysteria around my spending is frankly racist and sexist. And also, I want to name that many
Course
of
it's
us
racist.
who end
Course.
up investing in homes in the Black community often invest in homes to take care of their family. So homes that I've bought directly support the people that I love and that I care about. I'm not um, uh, I'm not renting them out in some
I swear,
Airbnb
man, this is so
operation.
crazy. Like
And you could speak to so many other Black
professional
people and
victim
Black
behavior.
women,
Like,
particularly,
if you want to know how to be a
that take
good
care of their
victim,
families,
do what
take
you
care of their
do.
loved ones, especially when they're in a position to.
Deflect. Mark, are you gonna answer
That's
any real
an important
questions?
point because,
Come on, Mark.
again,
What you
when
got?
we look at the New York Post
What
cover,
you got, my guy?
the first thing they say is that you went on a spending binge, right? Which is itself a kind of
Mhm.
coded language. They say that you have these
That's right.
homes in California, there's a home in Atlanta, and that you were considering a home in a neighborhood where Tiger Woods was looking, or some other famous celebrity. So, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying the four homes are true. It's true that you have those homes, but you're using them to support other family and people you care about.
Still not the
That's exactly
criticism.
right. And I just want to make it really clear. I haven't been to the Bahamas since I was 15 years old on a dance trip when I danced on the Big Red Boat. So I don't know where that lie came from.
Still not the
There's
criticism.
also a question because you're right. The right wing media has made certain critiques of you that you're spending and you're buying, and there's an argument to be made that this is absolutely about misogynoir. They don't want black women to have anything. There's
Hmm.
also a critique, though, from the left that would say,
Oh, only the
if
left
you
is doing
are a
this.
trained Marxist, if we're talking
Ah,
about a certain kind of radical politic, that
ah.
extravagant
Well,
homes of any sort or multiple properties of any
apparently, the left is the only ones that are giving some type of legit criticism. Apparently, notice how he split the left and the right. The right are saying, "Oh, black women shouldn't have anything." But the left, they're saying, "Well, she's a Marxist, so it is a little weird that she's doing this." It's not like that was the original criticism, and most outlets and media and commentators have have mentioned that. Even Crowder, Tim Pool, Eric July, Glenn Beck, Blaze Media, all of the New York Post, all Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, all of these people, Officer Tatum, Candace Owens. You can go down the list. A lot of those people disagree with each other on different things. And guess what? They all say, "You're a Marxist. What are you doing with all of this spending, all of this commerce, all of this trade?" Seems like you don't believe in what you actually are doing. What you want other people to adopt, you don't believe. But we're gonna let her finish. We're gonna let her finish. Finally, are you a Marxist? What's the response here? Let's see what she got for us.
sort is itself contradictory to the ideology that you hold. And so it's not about having money per se, but that it's about, or about property per se, but it's about there being a potential contradiction between your expressed politics and your lived practice.
Sure. And I think that is a critique that is wanting. And I say that because the way that I live my life is in direct support to Black people, including my Black family members, first and foremost. And for so many Black folks who are able to invest in themselves and their community, they choose to invest in their family. And that's what I've chosen to do. I have a child, I have a brother that has severe mental illness that I take care of. I support my mother, and I support many other family members of mine. And so I see my money as not my own. I see it as my family's money as well. And I want to also speak to Black Lives Matter and the money that we didn't necessarily raise, money that was given to us last summer. Mark, the minute we started to receive funding, I looked at my team and I said, we have to get these dollars out the door. Now that Black Lives Matter has money, we have to be a grant making body as well as a think tank, act tank, and an amplifier. And so, so much of the work that BLM specifically has done has been reinvesting into Black communities. We launched a survival fund where we gave nearly $3 million to 1,000 Black folks across the country. We have committed to $27 million to Black led organizations, not just our chapters across the country. That is like a quarter of our budget is going back into the community. And then also, we have to build an organization. It's the first time we've ever had real dollars, and we have to build a Black institution that can challenge policing, that can take care of Black communities. The whole point of these articles and these recent attacks against me are to discredit me, but also to discredit the movement. And we have to stay focused. We have to stay focused on white supremacy. I am not a white supremacist. I am not a tech billionaire. I am not the
Just a
Catholic
millionaire.
Church acquiring land everywhere. I am a single Black woman who is supporting my family and
Mm-hmm.
supporting my community. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to continue to do that. And I
Okay.
need to be able to do that. And I need people to see through the lies.
You've talked about funding and receiving funding and how the money's being distributed.
Wait. But the question you asked, the question, is she ever going to answer that question? I'll give you a quick response. No, she's not. And just for funsies, check out this like to dislike ratio. Yeah, let me just add to that right quick. Yep, there we go. Most people see through this because she didn't answer the question. But as to be expected, she was never going to answer the question. But you know what? Funny thing is, Patrisse made a whole video about this herself. So a whole video says dedicated to asking the question, "Am I a Marxist?" Let's give that a look to see, because she's not answering it here. She's not addressing it into valid criticism. Let's see what she says over there. It'd be very interesting to see what comes out of her mouth on her own channel when this is purely a question that she's choosing to answer. And this was just at the end of last year. Let's give it a look, shall we?
And I am ready to answer. Am I a Marxist? Let's get into it.
Yeah,
hey, everybody. My name is Patrisse Cullors. Mm-hmm. I am the co-founder of Black Lives Matter. I'm also the executive director of the Black Lives Matter Global Network. And welcome to my YouTube channel. We're going to talk about something that I have been accused of over the last several months. It's been intense at times. It's been hilarious at times. But I feel like I need to set the record straight. Am I a Marxist? I've seen a lot of y'all's comments. In fact, I got them right here. Do not fall for their trick. They're pushing a communist agenda. I'm sorry, this is really funny.
Do we have an
so
answer?
Despicable how Marxists have infiltrated the civil rights movement and turned it into a monster. She is trying to burn the whole system down. Admitted trained Marxists and Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors sends strongly worded letter to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, demanding they bow to their Black liberation domestic terror agenda. We warned you this was coming, and now it's here. Patrisse Cullors is a Marxist. All right, y'all. I mean, let's just talk about it. Am I a Marxist? I'm a lot of things. I do believe in Marxism. It's a philosophy that I learned really early on in my organizing
She believes
career.
in it.
We were taught to learn about the systems that were criticizing capitalism. We were taught to understand why there were philosophies that were criticizing capitalism. I'm working on making sure that people don't suffer. I'm working to make sure people don't go hungry. And these comments that I've received have been incredibly hurtful. It means that so many people who have listened to people like me inside Black Lives Matter and...
Interesting. Well, this video buffering. One moment. That back for you.
Across other social justice organizations aren't really taking our work very seriously. But I do believe that we can get to a place where there's a socioeconomic system that doesn't oppress some groups of people and only uplifts a few. We can't allow for fear to dictate how we understand what's possible. You want to know a funny fact? Everybody called Dr. Martin Luther King a communist.
But that he didn't call himself a communist, which was the main point. Dr. King did not call himself a communist and did not adopt those principles, and definitely didn't share in the ideologies. What he wanted did not in any way, shape, or form look like communism. But you can continue.
Word he was called forever up until he was assassinated. And now everybody loves Dr. Martin Luther King. Nobody talks about his work as being work that was terrible or bad. And so our movement,
his work was criticized for different reasons than yours.
We believe in the liberation of every single human being. What structure will get us there? Not our current one. We can see that right now because of COVID-19. Who's being impacted the most by COVID-19? The poor. Who's being impacted the most by COVID-19? Black folks, Latinx folks. And so if we lived in a system that cared for everybody, COVID-19 wouldn't be as big of an issue. We could just look at countries overseas who are dealing with it completely differently because they actually value human lives. That's what our movement believes in. We believe in the valuing of human lives.
Yeah, sure.
Damn. Should I make a video about that?
No.
I don't know if it's worth us talking about communism because it just has such a bad rap.
Well, because it's failed every time. That's why it has a bad
But
rap.
so has capitalism.
Absolutely.
Because the U.S. is so good at propaganda. And
so has capitalism. So has, as we see here, we're good on that. We're good on that. As we've seen here, this is so funny. It's just so funny. So has capitalism. Capitalism has failed, apparently. Capitalism is what's failed every single time. Like, communist regimes weren't destroyed, entire lives dismantled. You went from places like, I don't know, Venezuela, with a nice prospering country, to food lines, people waiting for literal table scraps, if even that. People trying to literally crawl out of places. People truly in the worst of circumstances with the top being living lavishly, which is what you advocate for. But capitalism has failed every time, apparently, as well. I wonder how you were able to purchase all those homes if it failed. Wonder how you got those book deals and free commerce and free trade and organizations and whatnot you got done. Capitalism failed. Very interesting. Avoided the question entirely, and when you did answer it in your own video, you really said, I believe in it, and skirted around it. Disappointing, but this is who people love, and this is the leader of Black voices today. They ain't my leader, I'll tell you that much. But that's going to end that segment, and we are going to move on. And since that one was a little heavier, I want to liven your day up, make it a little funny. So here's something that's hilarious, that I find hilarious. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And here's a meeting of the future. Here's our future leaders hard at work trying to make sure everyone from everywhere is represented properly. I hope you enjoy this video. Technical issue. Hold on. I see. Okay. One moment. Here we are. That's I wish I could have a gig here. They don't offer that here. Very strange. Everywhere is just like a block or two. Everywhere offers a gig is like a block or community or two away, which is really strange. You would think they would expand it, but I guess not. Regardless. It would get pulled up. Oops. Alrighty. So let's take a look now.
If we want to defeat capitalism, we are going to need a party that will organize working people to fight for the demands that we want and to win socialism. Thank you so much.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronoun?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Okay.
You see, when everyone can complain about the literal density of the air around them, you're not going to get much done, if anything at all. And right there, we saw it on full display. It's point of privilege. I'm prone to sensory overload. Point of privilege. Don't use gendered language to defer to people. This is what happens when you got too much time on your hands. These people, like, I would like just imagine these people just saying, I'm just imagining, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm just imagining like these people on like just going into like the inner city of Baltimore. I think they would literally explode. I don't even think like a robber or a R word, a killer, anybody would have to come and do anything to them. I think they would just explode because their worldview would shatter and realize that it's not what they thought it was. But that was a little tidbit, just a little thing to ease the tension, give us something funny to look at. But next, I want to move on to some of the race issues that had happened recently, and I want to start. We're gonna get into Adam Toledo. I want to show you another case that you might not have heard of, and then but I want to start with the CDC. So the CDC said that came out to say racism is a serious threat to public health. So I want to take a look at what they have to say about that. Let's take a look here. So, racism is a system consisting of structures, policies, practices, and norms that assign value and determine opportunity based on the way people look or color of their skin. This results in conditions that unfairly advantage some and disadvantage others throughout society. Racism is not a system. Racism is how you treat someone else. This is you treating someone based on the color of their skin, or you're not even treating. This is making assumptions or whatnot on based on the colors of their skin. It can involve many different things, but it's not a system. You can make a system and incorporate racism into it, but racism is not a system that you engage in. Racism is both interpersonal and structural, negatively affects the mental and physical health of millions of people, preventing them from attaining their highest level of health and consequently affecting the health of their nation. Oh, it definitely affects the mental health of people, because some people believe that there's a Klansman around every corner, boogeyman ready to pop out with a burning cross and chase him down the street like it's a Scooby-Doo. But that's just simply not the case. Is there are issues of some racist people? Yeah, probably a couple. But for the most part, it's been largely defeated as an idea that people will identify and live their life by a long time ago. It's been largely defeated. And the idea that we're continuing this just spits in the face of all those hard workers that worked hard to defeat it, because they had real issues. And now We don't have those issues. But yet, we complain as if it's worse than the height of Jim Crow. A body of growing research shows that centuries of racism in this country has had a profound and negative impact on communities of color. The impact is pervasive and deep and embodies and embedded in our society, affecting where one lives, learns, works, worships, and plays, and creating inequities and access a range of social, economic benefits, such as housing, education, wealth, and employment. All of this sounds like class issues, not race issues, because believe me, a poor white person has all of these issues. These conditions are often referred to as social determinants of health, as key drivers of health inequities within communities of color, placing those within these populations of greater risk for poor health outcomes. The data shows that racial and ethnic minority groups throughout the U.S. experience higher rates of illness and disease across a wide range of health conditions, including diabetes, hypertension, obesity, asthma, and heart disease when compared to their white counterparts. Yes, that's also because Black people choose to eat horribly. They have options to eat better than what they do, but they choose to eat horribly. Not due to racism. It's not due to racism that Black people love chitlins and saturated fats. That's not a race issue. Racism also deprives our nation of scientific and medical community of the full breadth of talent, expertise, and perspectives needed to best address racial and ethnic health disparities. To a healthy America for all, we must confront the systems and policies that have resulted in general injustice that has given rise to racial and ethnic health inequalities. We at the CDC want to lead in the effort, both in the work we do on behalf of the nation's health and the work we do internally as an organization. The more this stuff comes out, the more propaganda comes out. All this tells you. What does this tell you? Victim, victim, victim. You can't. What do they actually say here? Yeah, where your housing? Oh, it's because of your race. Your education. You don't have. You're not that smart because of your race. You don't have my money because you're Black. You don't have a job. Oh, because you're Spanish. Everything is because of your race. So you can't, so not because of your inability, not because you didn't train, not because you didn't practice, not because you didn't learn, not because you didn't go to some form of trade school outside of a public school system, homeschooling, private schooling, screw public schooling, which sucks for everyone, not just Black people. Not because of any of that. It sucks. Just everything's bad because of only your race. These people are grifters and they want to keep all this does keep you suppressed. What about any of this uplifted you to say, you know what, I'm gonna go out and make a change for myself. I'm gonna be great regardless of whatever the odds are. Nothing about what was said here will make anyone want to try harder. All this says is, yep, I knew there was a reason why I was a failure. How are you helping people of color by doing that? We're gonna move on to Adam Toledo. So let's take a look here. And this one, we're gonna give a comprehensive breakdown. So the teen appears to have had a gun, but dished it prior to raising his empty hands when he was shot. This was a fatal Chicago shooting by way of the police. Video footage released Thursday by Chicago officials show what happened in the final moments of 13-year-old Adam Toledo, who was fatally shot by a Chicago police officer responding to a shots fired call last month. The boy appears to have both hands empty and arms raised in the moment, and he was hit with a single shot to the chest. But still images show he appears to have been holding a gun just a moment before. What are the details? Civilian Office of Police Accountability, a police watchdog, released extensive footage along with original documentation to the public. The video showing Toledo's death is extremely graphic and disturbing, and is taken from the body camera of the officer who shot the teen. I will say, guys, that it is a hard watch. So I'm not playing it here. I'm pretty sure everyone's seen enough black people dying. Like, I'm not playing it here. I'm not seeing that. I don't want to make money off of that. I just want to give some perspective on it and give you my thoughts. At 2:30 a.m., March 29th, officers responded to a report of 8 shots being fired in the Little Village neighborhood. When they encountered Toledo and then 21-year-old Ruben Roman, reported both Toledo and Roman attempted to flee. The body camera footage, Roman is tackled by one officer while another takes chase after the fleeing 13-year-old. The officer can be seen chasing Toledo down an alley at around 2:30 a.m., yelling to the teen, "Stop! Stop right effing now!" Toledo stops and turns toward the officer, who yells, "Show me your effing hands," then drop it right before firing the shot. Reported video stills of the fast-moving footage shows that the 13-year-old appears to have dropped the gun and raised his hands before he was shot. The outlet shared by the video released to Chicago police showing the sequence of events at the night of chronological order. So, the Chicago Sun-Times reported that the video doesn't show Toledo throwing away the gun, and the boy doesn't appear to be holding a weapon with his hands raised, but another video shows him apparently throwing something in a gap of a fence on the other side. And the video shows an officer discovering a handgun there. And USA Today reported that Toledo can be seen tossing what appeared to be a handgun behind the fence as he slows down. According to the surveillance, video shot from across the parking lot, and that the video shows the gun coming to rest on the backside of the fence. Attorney Adina Ortiz for the Toledo family emphasized that in the moment teen was killed, he was complying with the police and did not have a weapon in his hands. Ortiz called for justice in the officer involved in the shooting, saying if you're shooting an unarmed child with his hands in the air, it is an assassination. According to BuzzFeed, Ortiz said Adam, during his last seconds of life, did not have a gun in his hand. His hands were empty, and when he was shot in the chest by the officer, he did not have a gun in his hand, contrary to reports made earlier. She added, "It could be a gun. I'm not going to deny it. It could be a gun. It's not relevant because he tossed the gun. If he had the gun, he tossed it." The officer said, "Show me your hands." He complied. He turned around. The Sun-Times report the officer involved in the shooting is a recipient of the Superintendent's Award for Tactical Excellence and 47 other accommodations, and he has a military background. So, I want to say that, if you've seen the video, it's very easy to find. I'm not going to play it here. I'm not interested in playing that here. But what I will say is I will encourage you to go watch the video. I might have a link below so you can see the video. But I do encourage you to watch the video. What I'd say about this incident is that it's a mixed bag, but we have to understand a couple things. When you watch the video, this all happened within a split second. As Toledo's running, the officer's chasing him. In about a second, he says, "Drop the gun, show me your hand. Drop it and show me your hands." So Toledo throws the weapon behind the fence and then goes to turn to show him your hands. However, as he's turning, he throws the weapon, and then Toledo's behind him on this side, and he's turning. So he didn't see him throw it. So then once he turns around, he doesn't know if he still has it in his hand or if he doesn't. He doesn't know he doesn't know. So he shoots because he wants to protect his own life. Now, Toledo didn't have a gun in hand. He did technically comply at the end. So technically, yes, he did comply. We have to understand these are not robots. These aren't people with supersonic speed that can tell exactly what's happening. Because if the officer waits to see if he has a gun in his hand when he turns around, at the angle he was turning around and the speed at which everything happened, which is again like seconds and fractions of seconds. The officer could be the person that loses his life, and then Toledo runs off. And I don't think there's going to be any uproar about that officer dying, as there's usually not. No riots, no calls for justice, no protests. So since he'll be an unsung hero, he's like, let me protect myself because no one else is going to defend me. Shoots him. Now, obviously, Toledo's gone. So the best we can do here is say how to avoid the situation. For one, of course, the best thing would be decentralization. Let private firms take over the policing space. If you don't like how your people are policed, then you can choose to go with another firm. That's the ultimate end goal, obviously. But as it stands right now, what can we do within this system that we have right now? What you do is, if you have a child, you tell them what to do and when you're encountering police. So, like for instance, at a traffic stop, tell them, hey, turn off your vehicle, roll down your windows, take out your registration and license, put it all on the dash so you don't have to reach for anything. Put your hands on the dash so that way they know where your hands are. It eases tensions and it makes it so things can go a lot easier because they're worried because they can be easily killed. And a lot of them are in very low intense situations. You also teach them not to be out at like 3 a.m. in the morning, causing a ruckus, shooting at cars, and endangering their community. Think about this. This wouldn't even be a story. He wasn't out doing stuff he wasn't doing. 13 at 3 a.m. He should be at home. Why does mom and dad not know he's home? Why is there such a hands-off approach? Yes, of course, it'd be great if he didn't get shot. It'd be great if this cop was also the Flash and could process information that fast. We gotta be realistic here. He did comply at the end, and it sucks that he did comply at the end, but just turned around really fast, and then the cop wanted to protect himself. It's unfortunate this whole situation had to happen, but since this situation is over, Toledo's not coming back. What we can do going forward to avoid more like this is you don't put yourself in situations where you're terrorizing your neighborhood. You don't put yourself in situations where you need to be chased down by the cops. I've never been chased down by the cops. I have no reason to be. I think I've gotten 2 speeding tickets in my life, which I got thrown out at court because they were bull crap. But I've never had any negative interaction with them. I'm not saying that you can do everything right and not have a negative interaction. It depends on who you get that day. You can have a negative interaction with someone at Jamba Juice. It doesn't matter. You can get a bad person anywhere. But the point is, people act like this is just what you get with cops. And I do believe the system could use reform as far as total abolishment, and then you let private firms compete, for sure. But since this is what we have right now, we have to understand that these things happen for a reason, and we could avoid it we could avoid the entire situation entirely, so that way we don't have to have cops have to make these split-second decisions. If the cop just was driving his patrol car that day and didn't have to make no decision because Toledo was in his bed sleeping, ready to go to school the next day, ready to go to, community center the next day, ready to work on homework the next day, or whatever he needed to do, this wouldn't have happened. It's unfortunate, yes, but we have to keep things in perspective. And riots and looting and whatnot after this to people who had nothing and no involvement with this is just shameful. But I don't want to end quite there. I want to show you something that you might not have known about. Bullets don't have eyes. Family mourns 3-year-old girl who was shot and killed in Nashville crossfire. Family mourns 3-year-old that was killed in Nashville Monday night. Thomas L. Winston Jr. is now charged with fatal shooting of 3-year-old Jamala Marlowe. The Cumberland View public housing development, Jamala's 2-year-old half-sister was also wounded in the crossfire. The investigation led by Detective Madison Mice shows that Winston, 23, arrived in public housing development in a blue Hyundai Elantra. As a large group of people had gathered in the parking lot, Winston walked in between two buildings. Shots were then fired from the direction across the parking lot. These three persons were shot in the back. Winston retreated to the Hyundai, dropped a bloody pistol on the pavement, and fled the area. Winston then drove himself to General Hospital for treatment of a gunshot wound to his abdomen. He was transferred to Vanderbilt Medical Center and was released today. During the interview this afternoon, Winston admitted to firing his weapon during the incident. We wake up in the morning. I'm ready to go to work, she says. Papa gave me a hug, give me a kiss, give me a bow, give me my fist pump. Earl Jones, Jamala great-grandfather, told NC5. She got shot in the back and the bullet went to her heart. And I just think, is my baby going to make it? My baby at the hospital, in the morgue. This is not right for a 3-year-old to be in the morgue at this age. She was an innocent baby, Jones said. I'm mad as hell. I had this girl since she was born living here on this property. Bullets don't have eyes when they land. You don't know where they go when you pull that trigger. Winston is charged with criminal homicide and aggravated assault for Monday night shooting. Winston is also charged with felony, aggravated assault, and vandalism in an unrelated case. The investigation is on. I just wanted to bring that to your attention just because I wonder if you heard about that. I wonder if BLM made any concentrated moves about this. I wonder if Mark Lamont Hill and Don Squeeze Lemon, Mayor Lightfoot, and all of them, Nancy Pelosi, Biden, Kamala, McClaskey, CNN, all of them, Brian Seltzer, all of them, any of them wanted to talk about this stuff. Talk about the lives that are lost all the time, all day, all to a terrible culture that we have in the Black community. Where's the riots for this? Where's the call for reform of the family structure? Where's the call for justice for her? Most of you, if not all of you, probably haven't even heard of her. But when it's politically expedient, but when you can make money off of it, and when you can get your clicks, that's when you see the news coverage. I'm not interested in showing things just for shock value or just things just to get clicks. So if I talk about something, that's because I really care about it, and I'll talk about everything. I'll talk about blacks, whites, CNN, COVID, Biden, Trump, and give you whatever opinion I have on all of them. But it won't be just to say white supremacy bad, white man bad, black man down, and capitalism sucks. I'm not going to say any of those things. And I don't think you should either. That's going to end it for our, I suppose, racial issue. I want to move on to a little bit of COVID stuff and some stuff that's going to, in the end of the show, is going to involve Canada. But let's move on to some great work done by the people over at Project Veritas. I most likely will do more on this, but right now, let's take a look. CNN staffer says, network focuses on coronavirus for ratings. Head of network often calls for death trackers. COVID, let's see here. Project Veritas published an explosive, secretly recorded video featuring a CNN employee saying the network relies on the coronavirus pandemic for ratings, and the head of the network calls him to force producers to put the death toll on screen when he's bored by CNN programming. COVID gangbusters with ratings, right? Which is why we constantly have the death toll on the side, which I have a major problem with, how we're tallying how many people die every day, the CNN technical director said on a secretly recorded video, noting that he finds himself strangely rooting for the death toll to rise to help CNN's narrative. Someone off camera said, "Well, I mean, it helps with ratings," but the CNN staffer fired back, "Oh, yeah, of course. But at what expense? But I have a job." In the second installment of what's billed a three-part exposed CNN campaign from the right-wing guerrilla news outlet Project Veritas, network technical director Charles Chester shed light on how the network has milked the pandemic for ratings. Fear really drives numbers. It does, you know. The happiest days in news, people I would imagine turn it off. Fear is the thing that keeps you tuned in, Chester said in the secretly recorded video. Chester said the head of the network decides how long the death count remains on the screen. I've been in the room many times where my director tells me to take it down, and I take it down, and then we get a phone call. The bat phone rings in the back, literally a red phone, like the special red phone rings, and they pick it up. And this producer picks it up every so often. They put it on speaker, and it's the head of the network being like, "There's nothing that you're doing right now that makes me want to stick. Put the numbers back up, because that's the most enticing thing we had," Chester said, presumably referring to hands-on CNN President Jeff Zucker. Project Veritas then cut to another CNN staffer who was secretly recorded. It's most likely a Jeff Zucker call. CNN graphics producer Rochelle Hoffman said CNN did not immediately respond to requests for comment. While similar videos are sometimes deceptively edited and taken out of context, many comments made by Chester throughout the video are longer clips that feature him speaking in clear sentences. Chester went on to bash his employers if it bleeds, it leads programming strategy. I think no one ever says those things out loud, but it's obvious based on like the amount of stories that we do, like the fact that we have a segment called The Good Stuff, which is a feel good thing, but it's dedicated moment at the end, like almost like to be the ice cream to have alleviate everything you've been through, like something sweet to end with. Chester said, "Everything else is like doom and none of this should be anywhere near surprising whatsoever. Whatsoever. It's honestly incredibly sad. Incredibly sad. The fact that we knew this. We know this. Those of us that pay attention, we knew this. But yet again, the quiet parts are being not even said, they're being screamed out loud, and people don't pay attention. I truly don't know how much longer this bubble can go on. Disinformation bubble, these smear campaigns, these lies that popular media is peddling out. Truly wonder how much longer they can get away with it. At some point, the bubble has to burst. Now, I do want to move on to another story. Now, this story came out a little while ago, so a little late on this one, but still believe it's pretty interesting. So we have here, y'all gonna love this one. Pentagon develops microchip that detects COVID under your skin. Medical researchers at the Pentagon have created a microchip that will detect COVID-19 when inserted under the skin. Relax, conspiracy theorists, they're not being disseminated via vaccines. So you know the worry here. Okay, at least you're aware of it. The revolutionary technology was developed by a Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, which operates under the Pentagon umbrella, according to Saturday night's broadcast of 60 Minutes. The top secret unit was launched during the Cold War to study emerging technologies for military use, among them innovations to defend soldiers from biological weapons. Dr. Matt Hepburn, an infectious disease physician and retired Army colonel, revealed that the microchip, which is not in widespread use outside the Defense Department, could detect COVID-19 individual well before a patient zero spawns an outbreak. We challenged the research committee to come up with solutions that may sound like science fiction, said Hepburn, whose role at DARPA, he added, is to take pandemics off the table. Hepburn compared the diagnosis microchip to a car's check engine alert, despite conspiracy theories that claim Microsoft Bill Gates is using vaccines as a vehicle to insert microscopic global positioning systems into our body. 60 Minutes declared DARPA's chip would not track your every move, nor is it being administered via shots, as some would-be Twitter sleuths have pondered. So, it's interesting. You see, like, they've mentioned multiple times, saying, no conspiracy theories, no, it's not tracking you, no, it's not like a microchip, it's not like a microchip that's going to follow you around. Just check engine light. Just check engine. Just telling you when to come in for maintenance. You know, I believe it was also something that the government had did where they were I think it was this guy, some little known guy named by the name of Edward Snowden. He had uncovered and released, and I don't agree with everything about Ed Snowden, but he did some good work and he released information that the U.S. government was spying on all of us. That's most likely still doing so. But they said they weren't. What's on this microchip? Can you expect it? Are they gonna let you break it apart? Are they gonna let you see what's on it? Most likely not. But they are literally making the video game plotline. Microchip goes in, you get taken over, and now you're part of some collective evil organization. It's probably not going to do all that. But the funny thing is just that, did they really expect people to fall for this? Who would willingly sign up for this? Which is why I believe they're going to force the military to do this. And you ain't going to have a choice. And then it's going to spread out from there. Let's continue. As a censor, Hepburn told CBS correspondent Bill Whitaker, that tiny green thing in there you put underneath your skin is what tells you is that there are chemical reactions going inside the body and signals that you're going to have symptoms tomorrow. Microchip embedded in the tissue-like gel is designed to continuously test the chip's recipient blood for presence of the virus. Once COVID-19 is detected, the chip alerts the patient to conduct a rapid blood test, which can be self-administered to confirm the positive result. We can have that information in 3 to 5 minutes, Hepburn said. As you truncate that time as you diagnose and treat, what you do is you stop the infection in its tracks. This segment also revealed technology that would allow a standard dialysis machine to remove COVID-19 from the blood using a customized filter. Blood is passed through the machine, where it is detoxed and pumped back into the body in a continuous stream until the body is rid of the virus. Military spouse dubs patient 16 survived a severe bout of illness, including organ failure and septic shock, thanks to the novel dialysis machine. Treatment lasted 4 days, in which patient 16 made a full recovery. DARPA scientists say that the research is critically important to preventing outbreaks in crowded military quarters, such as the one that occurred on the U.S. Theodore Roosevelt in March-April 2020, which saw 1,200 crewmates test positive for coronavirus. Pentagon researchers to study COVID-19, and much of their research has been critical in stopping the pandemic including new methods of detecting and developing antibodies in about 10 weeks. A fraction of the 6 months to 24 months previously required. They eventually hope to close the gap between a new disease detection and vaccine development, eventually said Dr. Scientist James Crow. We would start from a blood sample from a survivor and would be giving you an injection of the cure within 60 days. For us at DARPA, if experts are laughing at you saying it's impossible, you're in the right space, said Hepburn. They literally made a microchip. Don't worry, there's no conspiracy. They're not making microchips. They're not doing that. They start making microchips. Oh, okay, yeah, they are making microchips, but they're not tracking you. They're just like a check engine light. CNN is propping up COVID deaths so they can make money. No, they're not. They're just trying to inform news. Project Veritas expose comes out. Okay, yes, they put the death numbers in the corner, but it's only because they want to make sure you have informed. And if the ratings go down, people won't be watching, so they have to make sure they get the news out there. How many times do we have to say these people want your compliance, want to control you, and will do anything and everything until you're so used to being controlled, they can just say, okay, now we begin Project Siege and just take you. Do whatever they want. And that's gonna come in a little bit here, because our next segment, we moving on to Canada. Let's see what's happening over in Atlanta maple syrup. So, COVID compliance officials again feel the wrath of fed up Canadian restaurant patrons who angrily demand they leave. This was on April 14th. Restaurant owner says stay open stance is about being able to breathe and walk and talk when you feel like it, and not when someone dictates it to you. Novel concept. In the wake of a viral video showing restaurant patrons in Vancouver, British Columbia, yelling at health inspectors to get out as they delivered closure orders to the owner for COVID-19 violations earlier this month, yet another clip is getting attention showing the same scenario in another part of Canada. This clip shows a pair of Alcohol and Gaming Commissions of Ontario agents, a man and woman, speaking Saturday with a simmering kettle employee across the counter. Suddenly, a male customer standing near the counter begins arguing with the male agent and saying he and his colleague are trespassing at the very establishment. You know, I'm not even going to read that. I'm going to let him say it. I'm going to let him tell you himself. Check this out. Website must not have information loaded. We'll reload it here for you guys. All right, let's give a look at it now. So this is going to be a pretty interesting video, seeing how, you know, when you do push back, typically it takes one person, and then everyone will let their minds be heard and let people know that, hey, none of us like this. We're tired of it. Can you just leave us alone? Let's go ahead and take a, shall we?
Okay.
So in order to employees as well, so we did get actually information from public health, and we were just want to use it if you're
Okay.
So it appears that is. Looks like we have quite a few present here.
Yeah, so there's been an injunction filed. So I would really highly suggest that you read that sign in full.
We're here to talk to
No, and I'm here to talk to you too.
That's
okay?
fine, but
but see, you can't prey on weak people, okay?
No.
And I'm not one of those people. So listen here. No, you listen to me.
Okay, listen.
There's an unlawful order here. So then leave. You're trespassing. Leave before I phone the police.
You phone the police?
I'll phone the police. You're trespassing.
They have a liquor license.
You're trespassing.
They have a liquor
You're not
license.
welcome
They're
here.
obligated to
But you're not
follow
welcome
city
here.
inspection.
Get out! You're not welcome here. Get
Excuse me, you're trespassing.
Get out of here!
Oh wow, we gonna end it right there. I had to lower the audio as people were so impassioned. What's really funny is that with that one dude, and everyone was like, bruh, we tired of this. Everybody said get out. That's what happens. We just need a concentrated effort of people saying I'm tired of it. Because we're all tired of it. And once we band together, got no power over us. What do the powers that be have to say? The AGCO said in the news release that compliance officials indeed faced patients who had gathered and demanded that the COs leave the premises because they were trespassing. And then after advising the restaurant that it was failing to facilitate the inspections, agents left for their own safety, Bree reported today. Simmering Kettle stayed open despite a provincial shutdown order. The outlet added noting that the owner, Shalu Prasad, has received a $1,100 fine and must appear in court June 4th for continuing to breach the provincial order. Then on Tuesday, the AGCO announced that it had issued an order of interim suspension of the liquor license at the Simmering Kettle for reasons of public interest and safety, Bree today noted. The restaurant owner said her stay open stance has received all the attention her stay open stance has received. She doesn't know half the people who come to our restaurant now. We've had people from Windsor, Toronto, Caledon, everywhere coming in to buy and support. She noted to the outlet. Everyone is fed up with this, and the whole world is ready for a change. This is about our freedom. Prasad also told Barry today that this is not about serving food or serving alcohol. It's about being able to breathe and walk and talk when you feel like it, and not when someone dictates. Well said. Well said. You see, that's what happens when you step up to these status. You let them know that you're just tired of you're tired of the games, you're tired of them playing with your lives, you're tired of what they're doing. Honestly, it's criminal. It's criminal what they're doing to people. I believe wholeheartedly it's criminal. And I wouldn't wish what they're doing upon anyone. Honestly, it makes me sad. It makes me sad that especially, we think we got it bad here in the US. Canada got it real bad. And as of April 16th, let's take a look. Something the Canadian officials had to say to see if they care about what their people think about their policy. Let's check it out, shall we?
We have implemented the strictest measures in all of North America.
And you're proud of that.
The difficult truth is, every public health measure we have left comes with a massive cost to people and their lives.
No
We
duh.
have never shied away from doing what's necessary.
We
Necessary.
made a deliberate decision to temporarily enhance police officers' authority for the duration of the stay-at-home order. Moving forward, police will have the authority to require any individual who is not in a place of residence to, first, provide their purpose for not being at home and provide their home address. Police will also have the authority to stop a vehicle to inquire about an individual's reason for leaving their residence.
And our inspectors will also be ensuring that those who absolutely must come to work are strictly following the public health measures. For our employers and employees, take note, this is your last warning.
I'm wondering about these new police powers to just randomly stop someone walking down the street or to pull over a car. What happens if a person refuses to answer the police questions?
So by issuing these new additional enforcement measures, it allows police officers to ask the person why they are not at their place of residence and what their place of residence is. And specifically to your question, if you are not willing to comply, then you are breaking the law.
If someone sees their neighbors breaking these new regulations and having a party in their yard, that sort of thing, should people call police on their neighbors?
In terms of people calling to snitch, to inform, look, we all have a personal responsibility. If it means saving lives, then I think we have to think about what your social responsibilities are as an individual to make sure that you don't empower other people and invite a whole bunch of individuals to your home.
I kind of felt lost for words there. Like, I've seen that video before. I've seen it actually a couple times. I watched it a couple times. Every time it's just, I feel like it's a spoof. I feel like it's fake. I feel like this is from like an authoritarian like documentary or something. It's not real. This is literally Papers, Please. This is literally here are my documents. So this is why you're out your house. Okay. You got 32 more minutes, and after that you go straight to jail. I don't have any documents. You're going to jail. So apparently we now are in the position in Canada, and you Canadians out there, and I feel so bad for you guys. People are now in the position to completely uproot people's lives, and they've now said basically stay in your house, never come out. Full control. They can completely dominate their population and just destroy their economy, destroy people's lives, let people not work, and destroy people's social lives as well. It's genuinely horrific. It's genuinely horrific. And I can't believe what was happening there, and I feel so bad for those. Just let it be known that the longer that those mandates, those regulations are in place, the worse the reaction is going to be. Eventually, it will be fights, riots, and these won't be riots that the news is going to report. But I will. And with that, we've come to the end of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of mine. Yeah, I would go.